Hello everyone, factoring into the 10th and final summer 2020 update from GWV. So there are 9 updates for the summer of 2020 so far. We began these updates way back at the beginning of March. We've gone all the way through the spring doing the updates of the summer, and here we are, we've now reached the final update. So I just got this one to do, and then of course on Saturday we'll have the third and final season model roundup for the summer of 2020, where we will get all of the long range models together for one last time. And then that's going to be it. That will be it for the updates, and all that will be left to do will be to release the GWV Summer 2020 forecast, and that will be in 1 week's time, just 1 week until we release our summer forecast. So we really are at the end of the journey, more or less now, but I have got this final update to do for you today. And this one is looking at May data. Now, because we are some way short of the end of the month, this is all sort of projections. So it's a little bit of supposition. We're hoping that we are pitching this correctly, but of course it is a little bit uncertain what we're doing with this final update, but we always like to get something in if we can for like the last month of the season preceding the season that we're forecasting for. So that's what I'm going to do for you for this update. We're going to be looking at May CET and also precipitation data. Because we've had quite an extreme May in terms of dryness, that does help, I think, with this update. If we was around average rainfall, average temperatures, that make it a little bit harder. But because it's been quite a warm and dry month, that does make it a little bit easier for where we're pitching our range with this update. But I'll get on it for you in a moment. It's going to be a very busy day at GWV today. We've got the Sunday roundup coming up after lunch, around or just after lunchtime. And we've also got the ECWF Measure France and D long range update coming up for you this afternoon as well. That will be shortly after the Sunday roundup. And then we're going to be live streaming from 5 o'clock. So we're going to be live, taking your questions, looking at latest observations, and we will show you the Beijing Climate Centre 500 millibar high W forecast for winter of 2020-21. In that one as well. So it's a busy old day at GWV today. I hope you're enjoying the content. Please give us a like on all of the videos, and let us know in the comments what you're thinking. And also don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and keep checking back to website. Now this video is going to be quite a long video, so if you can't watch your one going, don't worry, it will be kept at the website at GWV indefinitely, and there'll be a written summary that goes with it as well, so you'll be able to watch the video on demand on the summer updates page, and you'll be able to read that that written summary that goes with the video too. And I'll get that up for you hopefully this evening. I'm probably going to be quite late, but I will hopefully get it up for you this evening. Big thanks to Richard Trott for supplying us with the summer updates gift, and also a big thank you to our good friend Terry Scully, who has put a lot of input into this update as well. So thank you so much, Terry, for that. Okay, I think that covers everything. We've got 68 tabs open here, so this is going to be a bumper edition. Normally we would split them, of course. Normally we would do May CET 1 week, May precipitation another week, but we've got to combine them because we're doing the summer forecast next week. So we've got 68 open tabs. We're almost reaching like winter updates levels with this. So it's going to be a long video. Let's crack on. So the first part of the video is going to be focusing on May CET data. So at the moment, the central temperature for May 2020 is sitting at 11.8, which is an anomaly of only 0.8 degrees above average. That's provisional up to the 22nd of May. Now, we're expecting that to go up quite a lot more over the next week, because we are in for plenty of warm weather. So our good friend Simon, aka Global Warming from the Weather Outlook, has given us a projection for where his tracker is predicting that the CET is going to finish by the time we get through to the end of the month. So this is where the CET is currently with Hadley, and this is Simon's projection. This blue dash line just here. Now, at the moment, Simon is actually a little bit under the CET, so about half a degree, about 0.4 of a degree, I think, under the current CET projection. So it does look as though we will get quite a big downwards correction as we get to the end of the month. It does look like we'll take around 0.4 of a degree off when we get to the end of the month. But nevertheless, still it looks like it'll be relatively warm May, and the projection is indicating that we're likely to come out at around 12.65, so around 12.6 is likely to be our finishing zone for the CT. Of course, it could be a little bit above that, could be a little bit below that, but the central projection at the moment is for 12.6. So, big thank you to Simon, aka Global Warming from the Weather Outlook Forum, for giving us this data. And don't forget, check out the Weather Outlook Forum. It's a great forum. I cut my teeth there many years ago, and that's how I learned a lot of the time about the weather on the Weather Outlook Forum. The site owner, Brian, is a really good friend of mine. Has done so much to help me with GWVSummer.com, giving me so much advice about developing the website, building the website. So I've got nothing but good things to say about the Weather Outlook, about Brian, who runs the Weather Outlook, and also about the forum there. So please check out Weather Outlook, check out the forum, and check out the CET thread, where you'll see all of this data and much more from a good friend, Simon, aka Global Warming. So, the central projection is that May is going to finish up around 12.6. And so, for this first batch of analogues for the summer, we're going to be looking at summers following May's with a central temperature of 12.3 to 12.9. 12.3 to 12.9 means that if we do indeed come out at 12.6, then we will be landing slap bang in the middle of the range of 12.3 to 12.9. So, this is the first one. This is the summer of 1841, following a May with a CT range of 12.3 to 12.9. And this one has a blocking signal up to our north. Summer of 1841 has a blocking signal up to the north, with an area of below average height sitting over and to the east of the country. And what this does, it pulls in the wind from like a northerly direction or a northeasterly direction, and it means we have quite a cool and wet month coming up, wet summer coming up, if that is right. Our next summer, following a May CET range of 12.3 to 12.9, is a summer of 1846. This one is a much more anticyclonic summer, with above average heights sitting over and to the east of the country, and so below average heights up to the north. A jet stream's doing something like that, being pushed quite a long way northward. So again, this will be a much drier and warmer summer in 1846, maybe even something of a little bit of a hot summer, to be honest. The next summer is 1847, and this one also looks pretty anticyclonic, with above average height sitting over to the east of the country, when it's generally from an easterly direction. That should be a warm and dry summer, really, in 1847. Next up is 1862. This looks like it's quite a cold and wet summer, with quite a deep trough of low pressure centred over the top of the UK and Western Europe. The jet stream is pushed quite a long way southwards as well. So quite a cold and wet summer for 1862, following a May CET range of 12.3 to 12.9. Next up we have 1864, so a lot from in the 1800s with this package of analogues. Below average heights again centred over and to the east of the country. Above average heights as a mid-Atlantic ridge extending back to Greenland. Winds are in from the north. That's a cool and wet summer in 1864. Then we have 1865, following a May CET range of 12.3 to 12.9. This one, not quite as unsettled, but still with below average heights again over to the east. Above average heights are pushed northwards. So that's not quite as an unsettled signal for the summer of 1865, but it is still quite unsettled, and it is still pretty cool, you would have thought. Next is 1875. This one with a deep trough of low pressure centred to the west of the country and a ridge of above average heights to the east. So this is an unsettled summer. Could be quite a warm summer, bring the wind up from the south, but it would be unsettled with low pressure to our west, bringing quite a lot of rain. Then we have the summer of 1889 showing up next. This is a cold and wet summer with low pressure off the Atlantic. Jet stream is on a southerly track as well. That's a cold and wet summer for the summer of 1869. The summer of 1895 follows a May CET range of 12.3 to 12.9 next, with below average heights coming in from off the Atlantic. Looks unsettled and really quite mixed for the summer of 1895 as well. Quite a long gap then through to 1908. So this is the summer of 1908 with above average heights this time, centred to the west and northwest of the country. Below average heights tend to be more towards our south. Winds would be kind of coming in from a northeasterly direction. So that's a dry summer because the Atlantic is blocked up, but probably quite a cool summer. So dry and cool, I think, for the summer of 1908. A relatively unusual combination. This is our first good summer of the 20th century anyway. This is 1911. This is a hot summer with above average heights centred over to the north of the country, below average heights out in the Atlantic. Winds are pulling up from a south-southeasterly direction. So it has a very, very hot July. July 1911 is a really hot month. It still contains some local temperature records, can you believe, some limited parts of the country. Very, very hot July in 1911, and overall a very good extended summer. Same can't be said about the summer of 1917. This is one of the worst summers of the 20th century, really, particularly in August. This is particularly bad in August, with, again, deep low pressure in off the Atlantic, bringing lots of heavy rain. And, yes, that's a really, really bad summer, particularly bad in August of 1917. Have 1922 next, again following this May CET range of 12.3 to 12.9. And with this one, again, we're looking at an unsettled summer. The summer of 1922 was a very bad summer, really, with low pressure unleashed from off the Atlantic. Again, it's up there with some of the worst summers of the 20th century in 1922. A very long gap then through to 1940. We have the summer of 1940 showing up next, following a May CET range of 12.3 to 12.9. Summer of 1940 with below average heights to our north and east, above average heights out to the west of the country. And so it's an unsettled summer, but it does have a very hot June. There's a very hot June in 1940. Otherwise, the summer then deteriorates as it goes along. Our next summer is going to be 1953. And this one, again, looks really unsettled, actually, and quite cool, with below average heights again coming in from off the Atlantic. And yes, it just looks like we had got a really unsettled summer ahead of us if we're back into the realm of 1953. This is a much better summer. This is 1959, and this one has above average heights over the UK and much of Northern Europe. Below average heights are pushed away to the north. Jet stream is going northwards as well. That is a very, very dry, extended, warm summer. It begins in the spring. It begins as early as like March, April, May, and it's still going on in September and October. That's a classic, very warm, extended summer in 1959. And then we've got 1960, following a May CET range of 12.3 to 12.9. So two back-to-backs for that CET range in May. This one a much more unsettled summer, with a below average heights as a trough of low pressure parked over top of the UK, and a blocking area of high pressure to our north. And then a really long gap, 30-year gap, until we next have a CET range of 12.3 to 12.9, and we come to 1990, the summer of 1990, with below average heights up to our north, and above average heights are down to our south and southwest. It means that we bring in like a westerly, southwesterly type flow for the summer of 1990. It starts quite unsettled. June 1990 is quite cool and quite unsettled, but by the time we get through to August, we really are turning very, very hot indeed. Late July, early August has a tremendous heat wave, and August 1990, of course, is an 18 Celsius CET month. Then we've got the summer of 1999. This one looks rather unsettled. It isn't that bad, actually, because it does contain a very, very warm and dry July. But in between June and August are quite mixed in 1999. And then it's 2000, so again, below average heights up to our north, above average heights down to 2001, I should say, above average heights down to our south west. Winds are in from the Atlantic. This is quite an unsettled summer, but it is a very warm summer as well. It has regular sort of heat waves and hot spells, but it is quite an unsettled and quite a mixed summer in 2001. And then lastly, we have 2006. So the last time we had a May CET range of 12.3 to 12.9 was in May 2006. The summer of 2006 is, of course, a very hot summer, particularly in June and July, with above average heights to our north and over and to the west of the country as well. That is a very, very warm and dry summer in 2006, particularly hot in, of course, in July of 2006. Not quite yet, because we also then have 2016. This is the final analogue for these years. So this one with above average heights to our south and also towards Greenham. For average heights in from off the Atlantic. Winds are in from west-southwesterly direction. So with that one, we have a very unsettled, quite cool start to the summer. June 2016 is quite unsettled. It gets much hotter later, particularly so through August and into September. Right then, so putting all of that together, this is how all Junes combined are looking following a May CET range of 12.3 to 12.9. And for June, it looks like we tend to get below average heights up towards Greenland and Iceland, but there is a ridge of above average heights in the Atlantic and to our east-northeast. So these Junes could go either way, really. They could favour unsettled conditions. But equally, if these two ridges were able to come together, could favour like a warmer and drier pattern for June. So that in between type pattern that really could go either way. No doubts about all Julys combined, though. This is how all Julys combined are coming out following a May CET range of 12.3 to 12.9, and it is very unsettled. Low pressure is well and truly in from off the Atlantic with the jet stream. Just looks cool and wet, really, for the all Julys combined. All August combined don't look much better either, with below average heights generally centred over and to the east of the country, blocking up to the north as well. Jet stream tends to be pushed southwards. These Augusts do look really quite bad indeed. And then all summers combined following a May CET range of 12.3 to 12.9. Again, looks rather unsettled overall. June is definitely the best potential to be drier and warmer, but generally these summers are pretty poor with below average heights centred very much over the top of the country. And if we narrow things down to just look at the years post-1950, so we exclude everything before 1950 and back into the 1800s, then this is how we look. So this is all Junes combined, following a May CET of 12.3 to 12.9 post-1950. A little bit stronger with the above average heights to our northeast and to our west-southwest, with below average heights towards Greenland and Iceland looks a little bit weaker. So a better chance probably of having a drier and warmer month with the two high pressures to our west and to our east, potentially giving us a drier and warmer signal for June. All Julys combined post-1950 look like that. Below average heights out to our northwest, above average heights down to our southwest, winds in from a westerly direction. Looks rather unsettled really with the all Julys combined, particularly for more northern western areas. Nowhere near as bad though as the all Julys combined. So post-1950 doesn't look anywhere near as bad as the more wider and broader analogue package. All August combined doesn't really make a lot of difference post-1950. We still have an unsettled signal. Below average heights again over to the east of the country. Blocking is more towards the north again. Bear in mind, this does include 1990, of course, which was a very dry and really hot August. So there are exceptions to this. But putting it all together, then, clearly, just about, we favour unsettled summer conditions. And we see this on our all summers combined chart, post-1950, again, with below average heights in from off the Atlantic. There is above average heights up to our northeast and to our southwest. Definitely we can see, I think, that when we narrow things down, we just look at the all summers combined post 1950. It is not anywhere near as an unsettled and cool signal for these months and summers overall as the broader analogues package going right way from 1841, I think was, that it started with, and all the way up to 2016. There we go. Okay, right, so we'll pause the video there, and when we come back, we're going to talk about May rainfall data as well. Let's just move that over to there. We're going to talk about May rainfall data. It's been a very long day. Getting a bit tongue-tied. We're going to talk about May rainfall data when we come back after the break. And again, we're going to be projecting this because we haven't got any finalised data in for May precipitation, but we're pitching it where we think we're likely to be, and we'll have that in the second part of the video. You get yourself a cup of tea and a couple of biscuits or whatnot. I'm not on biscuits at the moment. I'm trying to sort of lose a little bit of weight. So I'll probably get myself a glass of water, and you get yourself a cup of tea and some biscuits, and we shall meet back very, very shortly. I'll see you soon. Okay, we're back. We're ready to resume the 10th and final summer 2020 update from GWV. So in the first part of the video, we looked at the CET. Again, we're projecting all of this because we haven't got any finalised numbers in. So hopefully it isn't going to go wrong when we come to the end of May and into the start of June and we do get finalised data. Hopefully this won't go wrong. But in the first part of the video, we was projecting where we think the CET is going to finish up. For this second part of the video, we're going to project where we think rainfall for England and Wales is going to finish up. So we think it's going to be a very, very dry May, and we're actually looking at the at summers following the driest Mays on record with a England and Wales precipitation rainfall of 35 millimetres or less. And I'll get on that for you very shortly. Just to say that this video is going to be placed on the summer updates page later on this evening, and there'll be a written summary that goes with it as well, so you'll be able to watch the video on demand and also have a read of that. Don't forget to give us a like on the video and let us know in the comments what you're thinking about it. Okay, so as I said, we're going to be looking at England and Wales precipitation next. We're looking for May to have an England and Wales precipitation of 35 millimetres or less. So, for example, we've got 1970. May 1970 has an England and Wales precipitation that we see here. Let's make sure that's right. January, February, March, April, May. Yeah, that's right. So we have an England and Wales precipitation of 24.2 millimetres in May of 1970. And another one that has 35 millimetres or less is May 1980. That one has 32.6 millimetres. So that's basically what we're doing. We're looking at the driest Mays on record and the summers that follow them. So the first one is the summer of 1836. Again, following a May England and Wales precipitation of 35 millimetres or less. The summer of 1836 has below average heights to our east, above average heights to our west. We pull in the winds from a northwesterly direction. It's a cool and wet signal for the summer of 1836. Then we have the summer of 1839. This one with quite a lot of extensive northern blocking. Above average heights to our north, below average heights over to the south of the country, winds tending to be coming in from an easterly direction. That's quite a cool and unsettled summer. Summer of 1844 is up next. This one looks very unsettled with a trough of below average heights over the top of the country. Above average heights are being pushed up to the north. That looks like a cool and wet summer in 1844. 1848 shows up next, following England and Wales, a precipitation range of 35 millimetres or less. This one, again, very unsettled. Deep trough of low pressure over top of the UK, Northern Europe, blocking up to our north. The next summer is 1859. This one looks more anticyclonic with above average heights again extending through the country out into the Atlantic. That looks like it should be a drier and hotter summer in 1859. Then we have 1861 following a May England and Wales precipitation rainfall range of 35 millimetres or less, and this one very unsettled with a lot of low pressure over top of the country. 1871 turns up next with below average heights again coming in from off the Atlantic. Looks really wet and quite cool with the summer of 1871. 1876 is our next summer. This one looks more anticyclonic, above average heights sitting over to the east of the country, below average heights out to our west. That looks like it should be a drier and potentially significantly warmer summer in 1876. Then we've got 1895, that showed up in the last analog package, of course. This one looks unsettled for the summer with below average heights in off the Atlantic, but it must have been a really good July with the CET range that it had, and also 35 millimetres or less for England and Wales precipitation. It must have been a very, very good May, but the rest of the summer afterwards looks really bad. Then we've got the summer of 1896, again with below average heights over to the south of the country, above average heights in the mid-Atlantic going up towards Greenland. That leaves us pulling in north or northeasterly winds in the summer of 1896. 1901 is a very nice summer with above average heights extending into the UK from the northeast. Winds are in from the east. There's a lot of hot and dry weather in the summer of 1901. Same can't be said for 1905. This one is really cool and wet with below average heights in from off the Atlantic. So it's a cool and wet summer in 1905. Then we have 1919, this one with below average heights to our east and above average heights pulled out to the west. Winds are in from a northerly direction with that, so maybe not overly unsettled, but certainly quite a coolish summer with, I think, quite big temperature variations as well in the summer of 1919. 1922 is showing up next. That turned up in the last analogs package as well. This one is cool and wet, as we've already explained. One of the worst summers of the 20th century, probably. Summer of 1936 next, with below average heights to our south, above average heights out to the northwest and also to the northeast. That looks like a cool and unsettled summer in 1936. The summer of 1939, last summer before the Second World War, has above average heights sitting to our north, below average heights to our south, winds tending to be coming in from an easterly direction in the summer of 1939. That looks like it's probably going to be an unsettled and relatively cool summer. 1956 next. So again, this is one of the worst summers of the 20th century, certainly one of the worst Augusts. Cold and wet. If it can go wrong, it does go wrong, really, in this summer. It's a very, very, very bad summer, and it is a bit of alarming to see that one turning up in our package of analogues. This is a little bit better though. Again, this is 1959. That turned up in the last analogues package as well. This one with the above average heights over and to the east of the country. Just a very dry and warm extended summer in 1959, as I've already explained. Then we've got 1970, which we looked at the start of this segment for the video. So the summer of 1970 with above average heights to our northeast and also to our west, bringing in sort of an easterly flow. It starts off with a hot June. June 1970 is hot, and then it sort of all goes a little bit pear-shaped as the summer goes along. Summer of 1980, we also started off with that one in this segment of the video, is a cool and unsettled summer, particularly poor in August of 1980. Then we got 1989 following a May England and Wales precipitation range of 35 millimetres or less. This one has above average heights extending in from the Atlantic. Below average heights are being pushed to the north. So that's a much drier and warmer summer. It's actually a hot summer in 1989. Two hot summers, a pair of them, in 1989 and 1990. And there is the summer of 1990. That one also turned up in our last package of analogues, and here it is again. So May 1989 and May 1990 was really good, actually. And you can see that, again, with this one, it starts a bit unsettled for June 1990, and then it turns much drier and warmer, and it gets very hot from July through to August. Then we've got 1991, so a run of very dry Mays from 89 to 91. This one, a little bit more unsettled, bringing the winds from the west. It has a cold and wet June, but August and actually September as well of 1991 do rectify things. And then we've got 1998. I think that's the last one for this analogues package. So this, again, is the summer of 1998, following a May, England and Wales precipitation range of 35 millimetres or less. Below average heights sitting to our east, above average heights pulled out into the middle of the Atlantic, looking very unsettled and cool in the summer of 1998. Most of the summers of the 1990s were really warm or hot and dry, but there were a few stinkers. One was 1993. The other one probably was 1998. Putting all of that together, this is how all Junes combined are looking following a May, England and Wales rainfall range of 35 millimetres or less, and looks unsettled really. Below average heights tending to be over the west of Europe, above average heights up towards Scandinavia and out into the middle of the Atlantic. So relatively unsettled and probably quite coolish signal for June. It gets worse for July. The trough of below average heights deepens over top of the country with the all Julys combined, and there's hints of northern blocking as well. So a cold and wet July is favoured. Although, of course, there are exceptions. Similar with August, all August combined tends to take the trough below average heights way to the northeast, sends the jet stream onto a northwest-southeast alignment, so a cool and unsettled signal for the all August combined. Bear in mind, we do have August 1990 in that analogues package, for example. And all summers combined, following a May, England and Wales precipitation range of 35 millimetres or less, looks like that. Below average heights across the west of Europe, it's a cool and wet signal for those summers. Narrowing things down to just looking at the summers after 1950, this is how we're coming out. So makes very little difference for June. In fact, all Junes combined could be even worse, really. That does look pretty poor, doesn't it? So a cool and a wet signal for the all Junes combined. All Julys combined also looking quite cool and unsettled post 1950. Doesn't appear to make a great deal of difference whether we just narrow things down and look at the years after 1950 or whether we have the full analogues package. It doesn't seem to make much difference. It's cool and unsettled signal for the Julys. The August do look a little bit better, though, it has to be said. This is how all August combined are looking following a May, England and Wales rainfall range of 35 millimetres or less. And we have a much stronger signal for above average heights to be just to our west-southwest. Below average heights tend to be to the north. So it is more of an anticyclonic signal for the August. They could be drier and warmer, favouring drier, warmer conditions after 1950. The summers themselves, though, post-1950, don't look very good at all. Below average heights dominating. That's particularly down to what's happening in June and July, of course. As I say, August does sort of improve things a little bit. August does save the day a little bit post-1950. Right, so that's it then, and that really does bring us to the end of our summer updates. So I hope you've enjoyed this season of the summer updates. I think they've been quite interesting. I'm not sure we've ever had a definitive trend throughout. I think they have been a little bit mixed this year. Let me know in the comments what you think. I think I've seen a lot of variability from week to week with the various things that we've been looking at, but now it's time to bring it all together. So I'm going to do, of course, on Saturday, the final season model roundup of the summer of 2020. We're going to get all of long-range models together one last time, and we'll show you on Saturday what they're all showing. And then after that, a week today, Sunday the 31st of May, as we've been flagging up, that is when we will be releasing the GWV Summer 2020 forecast. So we're at the end of a journey pretty much now, with just one more season 1 roundup to go, and then the summer forecast is released 1 week today. Exciting times. We'll be back later on with the GWV Sunny Roundup. We'll also have a look at the ECFDF Metro France DWD long range seasonal update. We're live streaming as well from 5 o'clock. So we're going to see how we're all doing as we remain in lockdown. And we're taking questions, looking at latest observations. And with that one, we will also be showing you the Beijing Climate Centre 500 millibar height anomaly forecast, the winter of 2020-2021. So that's going to be very, very extended range and quite an interesting live stream, to say the least, with a little bit of winter data for you. After 5 o'clock, we'll embed that onto gazweathers.com. We'll share it across our social media accounts. But if you want to get involved in live chat, you'll need to do so at YouTube. Tomorrow we're going to be have our historic video. It's the third and final part of the Frozen 40s trilogy, looking at the winter of 1941-1942. Right then, so that's it for the summer updates. We're pretty much at the end. Summer forecast next week. This video will be placed on the summer updates page. There'll be a written summary that goes with it as well. I'll try and get that up for you tonight. If it's not tonight, it'll definitely be tomorrow. But I want to take the day off tomorrow and spend it under the sun in the garden and have a bit of a rest. So I'm going to try and get that written update done for you and post it with the video on the summer updates page tonight. We'll be back very shortly with GWV Sunny Roundup, so watch out for that. And we'll see you soon. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.